Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Sibir. This is brand new tier 10 Soviet battleship focused around secondaries and a special F key for brawling. Also giving you all of your healing up front. This heal works a lot like the Laffy smoke as well as the Burrows line smoke, where you can use it as much as you want to and turn it off whenever you like. Very interesting concepts here, but how can you get it? That's going to be the issue with this ship. It's very expensive at $160 US. There's a direct purchase option, which is great. But that is, of course, an Admiral bundle where they inflate the cost. 40,000 doubloons in the Armory or $160 US in the premium shop. It's also available part of a wishing wharf, a gambling event. I will never recommend you guys participate in those. They're always going to be a bad deal on average. You may get lucky. You're going to see posts online about people getting lucky in Discord, on Reddit, on whatever social media you're using. But anybody who doesn't get lucky won't be posting. Remember that. If they didn't get it after so many tries that they could have bought the ship outright, they're not going to be posting that. Something to keep in mind. But this ship is very, very fun to play. It sucks that it's just so expensive. The secondaries here are buffed over Kremlin, so you do get the Schlieffen, Ohio accuracy level on these, as well as a little bit better reload on these secondaries too. So 2.6 second reload, giving us the best secondary hitting DPM at tier 10. This is better than Schlieffen, this is better than Ohio, this is better than Libertad for its raw DPM. Now the secondaries are only 130 millimeter secondaries, so they don't pen 32 millimeters of armor. Only 22 millimeters of pen there. So you're not getting that full alpha damage like we would see on Libertad or Schlieffen. But it's more focused on fires. It's a 10% fire chance on these secondaries. They fire so fast that we have the highest secondary fires per minute at tier 10 as well. So you should notice some absolutely ridiculous fire damage numbers out of this thing. But crucially, these secondaries unlock the main guns on this ship. They are worse than Kremlin main guns in a few key areas. Number one is we have worse range, 19.5 kilometers versus 20.7 on Kremlin. More importantly though, it's standard battleship dispersion table. So at longer ranges, it's actually pretty similar to Kremlin, but we don't get that boost at close range like Kremlin gets to be some of the most accurate shells at tier 10 at close range. That's the special ability that Kremlin has. We also get worse Sigma down to 1.7. So 1.7 Sigma battleship dispersion, and we're building secondaries. Well, that's of course this F key comes in clutch for us. 20% better dispersion for 33 seconds. That means you're getting 2 salvos here out of Sibir with 20% better dispersion. That is ridiculous power level, and it really allows this ship to have some consistent salvos. A bit like Bungo's spotter plane in that regard, where most of the time this ship is not going to be accurate at all. Bungo is quite accurate outside of its spotter plane, which is why that ship gets a little bit ridiculous with its spotter up. But you at least have the ability to give yourself a couple accurate salvos here and there. And that's, I think, why I enjoyed Sibir so much. Whenever I'm playing a battleship and I'm frustrated by it, it's because there's some gimme salvos, or in my brain I think, this guy's made a mistake. He's gone broadside at 10 kilometers. Surely he's going to be punished for it. And then we get some crazy trolley dispersion and the guy gets away with it. That frustrates me. So giving me the ability to choose when to use this F key and give me that 20% better dispersion, giving me somewhat accurate battleship salvos at these ranges, it felt pretty good. You're going to notice we're actually going to miss this killing this Fey off here. Plenty of salvos are going to be absolutely atrocious here. The dispersion is horrible most of the time. But when I have this ability to give myself a few salvos per game that have good accuracy, I'm nowhere near as frustrated by the dispersion overall. It's not every salvo I need to be accurate. It's a few throughout the game that are really clutch, and those are the ones that really matter to me. So having that F key is really, really nice. But what really ties this package together is its heal. I think this is one of the best heals in the entire game. I truly believe having all of my healing available to me is absolutely ridiculous as a brawling battleship. One of the things that I notice whenever I'm brawling, I do this a lot. Push in, I over push in today's meta. I try and make it work way too often. But what happens is I often have my ship sinking to the bottom of the ocean with several heals left in the tank. What if you had the ability to use all of your healing all at once? That sounds pretty amazing, and it is. We are going to survive some absolutely ridiculous situations with this ship. Situations that I don't think any other battleship could. Not only are we having an immense amount of healing all at once, specifically, its total healing isn't quite as good as Kremlin with 4 heals, but all at once, it is very, very good. It's a Kremlin hull still. The only difference between us and a Kremlin hull is our deck armor has been nerfed down to 40 millimeters instead of 60 millimeters like we have on Kremlin. There is a difference there, but we're still above 38 millimeters. We're still well above 32 millimeters. So a lot of HE is still going to shatter on us. We're not getting overmatched by any battleship calibers. So we should be relatively tanky. There are some cruisers that can pen 40, and those will do more damage to us than a Kremlin. But overall, I found this ship to be ridiculously tanky, and combined with these secondaries that do very good damage, specifically the fire damage especially is quite solid, and giving me this F key to give me good dispersion when I needed it, I had a really, really good time playing Sibir. I just wish it wasn't so damn expensive. That's the problem when they put some of these really fun, unique experiences behind such a massive paywall. It's so hard for me to only be excited throughout these videos while knowing all of you watching this, the vast majority of you, aren't gonna drop $160 on one ship in the game. That is a ridiculous purchase price, and it's so disappointing to me to see such an interesting concept be locked behind such a massive paywall. But at least in Wargaming's credit, there is a direct purchase option. If this ship had released in the first half of 2025, like Incheon for example, it would have only been in the Gambling Wishing Wharf bundles. So good, at least we have a direct purchase option, as well as 14.7, 14.8 here, 14.9. Looks like they're adding a lot of content for people who are free to play or $10 a month players in this game. There is so much new content coming that while it's disappointing this one in particular is so expensive, that's why I looked at Kushiro first for this update. I was more interested to see what everybody or more people can get excited about. We will be looking at the German cruiser line as well, the new tech tree line, but that is a bugged line currently. The main gimmick, the manual secondaries are bugged. So I want to wait until they've fixed that to actually fully look at them. But we're going to get ourselves 300,000 damage here and barely going to die before we clutch out the win. But that means if our sum lives, that's going to be a solo warrior for this destroyer player. Isn't that interesting? Hardly see that these days. 300k though, I think that is a great example of how much damage we can possibly deal with this thing. But what about tanking? All right, what about tanking? That is the problem with a ship like this one. We have a 68k healing. Kremlin fully built has 84,000 HP to heal over 4 heals. You can get more if you're running Kuznetsov and get a First Blood. You can get more if you get 2 million potential damage running that 3-point commander skill. But I'm just going to pretend that we only have 4 heals on Kremlin. 84k HP to heal through. Sibir only gets 86,000. So it's a bit of a downside. But what we can do with a ship like this one is play a flank where we have a San Diego and a Jaeger supporting us. And everything on this flank is going to be shooting at us. And we are going to survive a ridiculous amount of time. I should not be playing here. In fact, that is the most interesting thing about playing Sibir for this video. I almost always do some limit testing when I start playing a ship that I've never played before. I try to put it in situations where it shouldn't really work and see what happens, you know, just curious. You shouldn't play open water in front of most of the enemy team by yourself as the lone tank. Our San Diego, not gonna want to tank. Our Jaeger, obviously try not to be spotted. Castilla, Goliath, well, they're getting into their tier 10 pre-kite HE spam positions. It makes sense some of the time when there's overmatch. There isn't overmatch on this flank, but whatever. We're on our own here to tank the enemy team, and we're gonna survive a ridiculous amount of time. And with this heal, I gotta mention, we're not even that punished for stopping our heal while we're using it, with the cooldown time still being a 40-second heal cooldown, just like Ohio would have. Most battleships have an 80-second heal cooldown. And when we have these gimmick heals, like Sevastopol, for example, a very long duration heal, but it has to wait like over double the, or maybe they've buffed it recently, but it was like 160 or 180 second wait time to get to the heal again. Usually that's what they do. But here, if you stop healing, it's only a 38-second cooldown time if you're using the flag like I'm using here, or a 40-second base. That's not bad at all. So you're able to always get through all of your healing in a battle, for the most part, unless you eat like a Dev Strike's worth of Shima Torps, or if you go broadside at very close range, Kremlin hull still can be citadeled. It is an above water citadel. It's just so ridiculously armored and angled that most battleships, even at tier 10, aren't getting through it when you're flat broadside, which you're about to see as this enemy GK comes closer to our broadside and we continue to just sit flat onto him and probably take very, very little damage. But this heal has to be the funniest part about this ship. Getting through all of it, pretty much every game that I played, was so hilarious. Being able to consistently have an extra 68,000 HP no matter what I did, pretty much. There are ways, again, torpedoes for dev strikes and that. That is so ridiculous. That is an insane amount of HP that you're going to have to burn through. Now, I don't play competitive very much anymore, but back when I did, this ship sounds like it would be absolutely insane in competitive, where you're not positioning your battleships to tank over an incredibly long period of time. You're putting a battleship to tank for a very short burst of time where it has the most impact, a lot of the time. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, comp players these days, it's been, what, over 5 years since I've played comp. But this sounds insane to have essentially Kremlin armor, secondaries, an F key that gives you good dispersion when you're in that secondary range, a ship with 113k base HP that also has access to all of its 68k healing all at once. They can't even burst you down. I don't think you could get burst down by a normal comp team unless they hit torps, I guess, or you just decide to go broadside. But if you sit bow in, I mean, how do you deal with this? At least with the Kremlin, sometimes you can get through all that HP before it gets to its third or fourth heal. Maybe, but I don't know if that's going to happen here. Oh, right. Oh, Colombo exists. Sorry, I forgot. There's just 20k ripped off us, even though we're angled. Wow, what a cool ship. How about positioning our ship in the middle of B cap, caught in a crossfire? How long can we survive this? It's Kremlin hull, and we got a lot of HP to tick through. I think it might be actually a good thing that it slowly ticks through the HP. It's the same amount of HP per second that we get in Kremlin. If it was a super heals version, like you get through it very quickly, I think it'd be harder to use this heal. I actually think this heal is so easy to use. Maybe it's better than the Valparaiso heal? Maybe that's going too far, but it reminds me a bit of that, where we can just YOLO push in and get through a ridiculous amount of healing. Our hull is certainly way better than Valparaiso. Valparaiso gets way more total healing. It also gets access to its damage control instantly too, so now that I'm thinking about it, that one still is probably a lot better. But this one still can survive just a ridiculous amount of time. This F key, well, that's looking like a pretty good salvo. If a cruiser goes broadside to you, that's usually going to result in some pretty good damage. Oh yeah, now we're over 3 million potential damage in such a short period of time. We get progress here by secondaries, as mentioned on this F key, but also potential damage. Very, very nice to have 0.05% progress towards our F key just by getting 1,000 HP of potential damage. I don't see that as much as like just getting the full charge through potential damage. You're going to need secondary hits for that. But I see it as a way to prevent the F key from decaying if you haven't got your full charge yet by getting a little bit of potential damage, which is really cool. Makes it quite consistent to charge this up. Speaking of bad ideas, what if we just open water rush down a Thunderer who's going to be angled to us? Well, let's see how it goes. We have an insane amount of healing. This Thunder is going to get a lot of HP off of us. But is he going to be able to take us out? I don't know. And we're going to farm up so many F keys. That's the other thing, is you should be using this F key. If you're in secondary range, you should be using this F key. Starboard secondary armament destroyed. Well, fortunately, by the time you're playing this ship, you won't have to deal with that. Permanent module destruction is being removed in 14.8. Absolutely incredible buff from Wargaming. Not only is it going to make secondaries not instantly die, you get shot at by a thunder or two. Things like Schlieffen with its very fragile secondaries and torps is going to love that. So I'm going to have to take a look at that soon too. But Sibir won't have to worry about that. All these secondary ships won't have to worry about that. But not only that, your AA won't be permanently destroyed. So in the late game, when that carrier is going to focus you down and you have 30% of your AA left because you took a few Conqueror HE salvos, that won't happen anymore either. So maybe there'll be a little more balance there. Okay, maybe I'm coping too hard. Let's get back to the ship. Having a maximum secondary range of 11.6 kilometers is decent. In fact, that gets us more than Ohio, for example, another ship that doesn't have the best pen, but has a lot of secondaries with high fire chance. Sibir is just going to be better. More range, more DPM, more fires per minute than Ohio. Although, it's got to be the firing angles that are a little bit awkward here. To fire all of your secondaries, you're going to need to show 50 degrees of broadside forward, 35 while kiting though, so not too bad there. You're gonna know it still lights a lot of fires. And crucially, we're mostly here for our F key charge, I gotta say. The fires are nice, okay? We've got a couple games with Witherers even, but this F key is really, really powerful, making up for even 1.7 Sigma battleship dispersion. Took a Citadel though there from that Thunder. Gotta be a little bit careful, but if you just stay angled in a Kremlin hull, how do you die, man? Key is going to angle to us, so it's not going to be that good of a salvo, but decent enough accuracy to hit most of our shells. And, well, since he doesn't know that our F key lasts long enough to give us 2 salvos, looks like he might actually go broadside onto us for our final salvo. And, well, it's still Kremlin guns. It's the same 457s with the same alpha damage, the same pen, and that was pretty disgusting dispersion as well. I need to try out a bit of a hybrid build, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe not go full secondaries, but go for main gun accuracy build and see how devastating we can make some of these salvos. 20% is a lot. That is a very big buff. And yeah, we were able to live this game fully charging down a Thunder that's going to kite in his spawn. And now that we're back in port, the build that I was running for these battles looked like this. Pushing in. Yeah, the not having a Hydra while pushing, we want something like Vigilance. Helps our torp protection as well, too. I got smashed a couple times by pushing into submarines. Probably try not to do that. Carriers as well. You do need the right matchmaker for things to work out, even with a ship like this one. Running secondaries, of course, as well as concealment and fire prevention. Very important. Emergency repair expert does not impact our heal, as well as improved repair party readiness does not impact our heal at all. So it's really important to realize there's a keyword difference here. There's total usage time, which is what this repair party has. And if we were to go over to Kremlin, for example, and we look here, we have consumable action time. Most of these commander skills deal with action time, not usage time. And that's why it's a little confusing that this can't be buffed in its duration. But having such a high duration already, any percentage buff would be kind of massive, wouldn't it? Things that do affect it, though, are your ship's HP, as well as this flag here, amount of HP restored while using the repair party consumable. So here we're at 682 HP per second. Pull the heal flag off, 568. Oh, interesting. Since it's 100 seconds, pretty easy math, we go from 68k HP healing to 56. You need to run this flag if you have this ship. That's a more minor change, but the extra HP here also impacts it. 541 per second, or 54k HP, up to 56, and then up to 68. That's how you maximize it there. If you try to run consumables mod, it's action time, not usage time. Again, does not have an impact. I was running the main battery mod 3 here to guarantee 2 salvos out of our F key, 33 seconds. If I don't run this here, you're going to notice our reload, it's 33 seconds, just like Kremlin. So with a tiny little bit of AR, if you really optimize it, you should get those 2 salvos anyway. But I was running the main battery mod 3 here. The secondaries already have such a ridiculously fast reload. Look at that, 2.2 seconds. Maybe I should try the full secondary eventually. 1.8? Okay, I'll have to give that a go. I'll have to give that a go. But given the amount of healing, I don't think we need range mod. Prop mod is good, as is damage control system mod too. Both are very, very powerful. A little bit more juking of salvos, but you take a little more fire damage. But you have so much healing that you can just heal through the fires, no problem, especially if you have fire prevention. And it's very, very difficult to take out a ship like Sibir, Kremlin Hall. Very, very hard. Auxiliary Armaments Mod 1 here. We'll have to see what it's like in the new update when modules can't be permanently destroyed, if that's even required on a ship like this one. Who knows? Here is the difference, though. 40 millimeters of deck armor. Otherwise, it is the same. It's not like Slava, where you have worse Citadel protection. Nope, still the same. 32 mil bow, 60, 150 here. It is the exact same outside of the deck armor. So 60 down to 40. Not a huge nerf, but there are some things that can get through it now. Certain airstrikes can get through 40 where they can't get through 60. Some things like Hindenburg HE can get through it now. But it's pretty minor. It's still a very, very tanky battleship. And I think that's going to do it for today's video. Very interesting ship. Very expensive ship too. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.